Hello, good evening, and welcome back. Kesgrave student critical after shooting on way to school, which seems to follow on quite sadly from yesterday's video about the stabbings in Birmingham, and this is essentially just a repeat. It can be put down to the same problems: a lack of role models, a lack of community cohesion, and a lack of assimilation, instead wishing to be a part of more of a gang culture, or a culture which does not respect the more stoic parts of masculinity, which are ones that should be embraced, as in ones that understand things might be difficult but persevering through them in order to get something on the other side, to understand that there are things more important than yourself, and to understand that if you want meaning in life, if you want that feeling of importance, it is something that has to be worked for and earned, and can't be a sudden change in order to get that feeling. However, of course, this is still an ongoing problem, and there's a particular bit about the population growth that we'll get to in a moment. So, a 15-year-old boy is in a critical condition after he was shot on the way to school on the first day back. One of its year 11 students, so 15, 16, was shot once and was flown to hospital. Suffolk police have arrested a boy, 15, in connection with the shooting. The suspect, who is said to be from the Woodbridge area, was arrested by armoured police on suspicion of attempted murder. An Essex and Herts air ambulance landed on an area of grass and took off just before 10 o'clock. Police said they were treating the shooting as an isolated incident and do not believe there is any wider threat to the local community. The Suffolk force said it was thought a single shot was fired in the incident. So we're glad it was only a single shot. Of course, ideally it would have been even fewer than one, but of course, it is particularly interesting then that in America people are concerned about school shootings and the like. So, well, yes, but it's illegal for children to own firearms, and the same in the UK. It's illegal for anybody to own firearms without a permit, of course, and we don't know the firearm that was used over here, given that firearm knowledge is, it's embarrassing as it is over here for the vast majority of people to not understand firearms, and you think, well, they don't have to because it isn't a part of their normal life, which is also embarrassing, really, but is then also a shame when things like this happen because we don't know and they're not going to tell us, whereas you would expect that you would have some information, whether it be a bullet casing or if they were to identify the bullet itself, and then from the size, the caliber, any of the deformation, the rifling as well, if there is any, then you decide if it's from a regular gun or shotgun, which doesn't have rifling. Things like that then can determine what was used in the incident, at which point you can discern whether or not the firearm may have been originally obtained legally and then used illegally, or if it was just illegal the whole way through. These kinds of things are quite important in order to understand firearm distribution throughout the UK, given that this was in Suffolk. This was in East Anglia. This was far away from London or Birmingham or Manchester or Leeds, where you would expect something like this to happen from the multicultural impact. So why did it happen here, of all places? Is it just that then British people are inherently violent? Well, no, clearly not, because we don't see this happening so much. So maybe there's a bit more to it when it comes to foreign cultures infiltrating Britain and, indeed, being encouraged to infiltrate Britain, which brings me on to another point about identity politics and favouring the group, that then you got to castigate one group and bring up another or more, or castigate a few groups to bring up one or more, in order to put in those group divisions, whether they're class or cultural. And in doing so, you get some people who profit and feel good, but for the vast majority of people, it is utter shit. So, it is also confirmed a cordon in Westwood Avenue, nearly 5 miles from the location of the shooting, is connected to its investigation. Assistant Chief Constable Rob Jones said, "Following this serious incident, our priority is to keep everyone safe. There will be more police officers on patrol and to provide reassurance in the area, and I would ask for anyone with information about this incident to come forward." And this always amuses me, really, that they say, after this, we're going to put more police in that area. So, well, Surely they chose that area because there weren't many police there. So if you put police there now, they're going to choose somewhere else. Or your concern is going to happen in exactly the same place, and you'd be called out and look a bit silly if you didn't respond for that particular area, which seems more likely. Again, it is addressing the symptom, not the cause. Education Secretary Gavin Williamson told the House of Commons, "I think we're all shocked and saddened to learn about the incident in which a young person was seriously hurt on the way to school in Suffolk today. Our thoughts are very much with the young person, their family and the whole school community at this very difficult time." Are you not also saddened to learn about the young person who committed it? Is that not also something that you should be concerned about, seeing as they're very much in your education system? No? Okay. In which case it's down to the families. In which case, do you want to maybe point out something about the importance of families? No? Okay. It just, this was bad, there was nothing we could do about it. Oh no. Great job. Eyewitness Andy Watts told BBC he was out walking his dog when he heard a gunshot, and then I heard a great big scream. He was concerned about his parents. His dad was a paramedic, and for many years, now retired, and just kept himself in his home because he knew that's what he should do. Although it's a tight-knit community, they say, they're still all very concerned about what's going on. Given that, as they say, from Kate Scotter at the scene for BBC News, Kesgrave is a small town on the edge of Ipswich that has grown rapidly over the past 20 years. Interesting. It has 2 primary schools and a high school and is packed with families. I've been at the scene of the shooting in the heart of the town's Grange Farm estate, and the sense of shock about what's happened is palpable. This is a tight-knit community where many people know and look out for each other. The police have reassured people this is an isolated incident, but the feeling of concern remains, as you would expect. So, a small town that's grown rapidly over the past 20 years. Well, let's have a look at that. This is from 2017, so it is still 3 years old, but it's 6 years after the 2011 census, and here we see the proportions here, so it is predominantly white, yes. According to the latest data from the 2011 census, 94% of the population of Kesgrave and Rushmere St Andrew are white. There are 6.2% of people of black or minority ethnic origin in the division, more than double the number at the time of the 2001 census. There are 3.4% people of Asian and Asian British in the division, 3 times the number at the time of the 2001 census. And this is 10 years on, and of course we're 10 years on after that. But as you can see, at that point they're already doubling and tripling, as you can see there. So if that were to just continue to double and triple, then you might begin to understand why it's growing so quickly, and why you might have seen crime rise in this area. It's hardly a new story. Hardly at all. And also, interestingly enough, and I've gone through in detail before, you can look through my catalogue if you wish, about contact theory versus conflict theory. Contact theory is you meet people from different backgrounds, different cultures, and because you've met them, you're therefore more understanding about them, and therefore you don't hold bigoted views. Conflict theory, on the other hand, is you're perfectly happy doing what you're doing, then other people move in who don't hold your same values, and that make you more nervous and anxious about going outside and interacting, and you now don't have such a good relationship with even your previous community that you did before. And I doubt you're surprised to hear that, of course, conflict theory is the one that's actually true. So it's the same here. That even in a place which is mainly homogenous, when you get different cultures clashing and coming in, then everybody loses trust of each other, and the whole thing falls apart. And that seems to be what we're seeing. So even if the attacker was also white British, you could say it's just even more evidence that the inculcation of foreign, aggressive, malicious cultures into Britain just have this same negative impact. So, I will cover these as they keep coming up, because it's important to just have this back catalogue again and again and again of so many points of evidence to keep in your mind when any politician or would-be Prime Minister, whatever it might be, trying to bring about these points. You can think, well, yeah, but that's not true. Actually, we are concerned about a lot of immigration for various reasons, and here's one of them, and here is a load of evidence in support of this fact. What have you got to say about that? And you'll already know their counter-arguments, and you already know that that's not true. So at that point, well, hey, you've got to vote with your feet, really, haven't you? But we'll have to see how things go until the Boogaloo. But as always, let me know what you guys think down below. Always intrigued to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you for more engagement recently. Very much appreciated. And as always, until next time, have a good one.